1b. Writing a story. Discuss. Have you ever had a dream that was so real you felt like it really happened in the real life, that you thought it had actually happened? If yes, tell the others about it. Well, to tell you the truth, all dreams I have feel so real when I am asleep, when I am dreaming. But, soon after I wake up, I realize that they all are just dreams. Now read the rubric. This is the rubric. And the story. This is the story. Has the writer ended the story? This is the ending of the story appropriately, in a good way. Appropriately. How does he explain? When you explain, you try to make something clear to understand. What happened that night? An international magazine has organized a short story competition. A competition for short story when a lot of people write short stories to see who's the best in writing short stories and choose a winner. And you have decided to enter to write a short story yourself. The competition rules, the things that are allowed and the things that are not allowed, say that the story must end with the following words. You must put these in the end. So, Peter realized he knew it was a dream after all. He was just dreaming. It wasn't real. This is how you must end your story. Read the story with me. Late last Friday night, Peter was watching TV when the phone rang. Rang is the past of ring. Ring is when somebody is calling you. It was his cousin, the one who was calling, Kevin, and he asked Peter to meet him at the stadium. Stadium is a large building structure in which big football matches or sports events take place. Before Peter had time to say anything, Kevin said, "Don't ask me why I want you to come to the stadium. Just get here to the stadium quickly. It's urgent. It is very important, and you must do it now. Urgent." Peter grabbed his jacket. When you grab something, you hold it quickly, and ran to the stadium. Someone had left the door open to the stadium, so Peter walked into the stadium. It was dark. There wasn't much light in the stadium, and he could hardly see. It wasn't easy to see things. While Peter was trying to find his cousin, Kevin, he tripped. When you trip, you hit something with your foot accidentally, and you almost fall down, or sometimes you fall. Fell is the past of fall on the grass. This is grass, the green thing. Suddenly, all the floodlights turned on. These are floodlights, the lights used in stadiums. Peter looked around and saw Kevin standing on the pitch. Pitch is the playground where players play. Stadium is bigger than the pitch, so pitch is part of the stadium. Stadium means the pitch and the area where spectators sit to watch. Dressed in black, wearing black clothes. There were some other people standing there too with Kevin, but he couldn't make out who they were. He couldn't tell. It wasn't easy to see. Kevin spoke to Peter in a deep voice. He said, "Come with us." Then the lights went out. They were shut down, turned off, and Peter felt a cold wind blowing, cold air moving very fast. He could hear Kevin's voice fading away. It was getting further and further away, telling him to follow them. The next thing he knew, he was back home in front of the TV again. Peter thought he had been dreaming. This was just a dream, but then he looked at his jeans and they had grass stains. This is grass stain. It was all very mysterious, very hard to understand. Then he remembered playing football earlier that day, so this is where the grass stain came from. It didn't come from the dream in which he met his cousin Kevin. No, he actually played football that day, but then he forgot and then he fell asleep, so it was a dream after all. So has the writer ended the story appropriately? Yes, well, he used the same words he was supposed to use. How does he explain what happened? He says he had been dreaming. Now, what tenses? Tenses means past simple, present perfect, present simple. Does the writer use to set the scene? Set the scene, tell you where the story happened and at what time of the story in the first paragraph in here. Look, he used past progressive. Peter was watching TV. The phone rang. This is past simple. Don't ask me why. Just get here quickly. This is present simple. He used present simple for direct speech. Can you see the quotation marks? This is direct speech. What tenses does the writer use throughout the story? Throughout means for the rest of the story. Well, let's take a look here. Someone had left a door. Had left. The verb is left and there is had. This is past perfect. While Peter was trying. This is past progressive. He tripped. This is past simple. In here, come with us. This is present simple for direct speech. Quotation marks. He had been dreaming. This is past perfect progressive. Past perfect progressive. Look at the words and phrases highlighted. These are the highlighted words and phrases, which two link two past actions and indicate they show that one action interrupted the other. Interrupted means while an action was happening, another action came and happened. Well, there is while and there is when. Peter was watching TV. This action was happening first, and then, while this was happening, the phone rang. The phone rang, interrupted watching TV. And again here, while Peter was trying to find his cousin, this was happening. While this was happening, this interrupted. He tripped. Which two link past actions that happened one after the other. There was no interruption. One happened and then the other action happened. There is before and there is then. Before Peter had time to say anything, before this happened, Kevin said this. And there is then. Come with us, he said, and then the lights went out. Which one indicate the specific time? Specific time, like when I tell you it happened at 3 o'clock. It happened yesterday. It happened last night. This is specific time. Well, there's last Friday night. Now look at the table below, then read the story that follows and circle the correct words and phrases. We use these words and phrases to link two actions that one happened earlier than the other. I played video games after I finished my homework. This is one sentence, linked by after, link. After I finished my homework, I played video games. One happened earlier or after the other. These words are used when one action interrupts the other, and these words indicate when something happened. It was a cold winter's night, and Amir had just left work. While or as soon as he was walking home, don't stop, continue reading until you come to a period like this. Continue reading. He saw a tall man who reminded him a lot of his father. We use while. This action, he saw a tall man, this interrupted his walking. One action interrupted the other. He reminded him, he made him remember his father. Until or by the time Amir turned around to look at him again, the man had left. This happened, the man had left, the past of leave. It happened before, earlier, before Amir turned around, right? So we use by the time. By the time means before he turned around, the man had already left. Then, or when, Amir moved to the suburbs. Suburbs, the areas in a city that are far away from the center. His father was left alone. Now when this happened, when he moved to the suburbs, his father was left alone. But Amir visited him every weekend. He also talked to him on the phone every day. Until he could see him again, he continued doing this until the weekend, when he can see him again. Amir forgot about the event that happened. But before or after half an hour, he started feeling that something was wrong. After half an hour, he started feeling that as soon as or as he got home, he tried to call. As soon as means without delay. The minute he went home, he tried to call his father, but there was no answer. Nobody was picking the phone up. So he decided to get the bus to his house, to his father's house. As or when he arrived, he found his father on the floor, lying on the floor. He couldn't move. He had fallen down the stairs. These are the stairs. And broken his leg. Immediately, Amir called the Saudi Red Crescent Authority. He called for an ambulance, and shortly after, soon after his phone call, an ambulance came and took them to the hospital. Although Amir didn't know who that man was, he was thankful he had seen him. The man who reminded him of his father. Right here. He saw this man. Because he saw him, he called his father, and he knew that something was wrong, and he went to see his father. Now read the rubric below and the outline for the story. An international magazine has organized a short story competition, and you have decided to enter. The competition rules say that the story must begin with the following words. This should be put at the beginning, not at the end. It was a day Mark would never forget. When you write a story, in the introduction you must remember how you must begin your story. This is how you must start. Use this sentence. Where was Mark? What time was it? What was the weather like? Was it sunny, cloudy, rainy? Was anyone with Mark, or was he alone? What was Mark's relationship to the others? Were they friends? Were they family, brothers? In the main part, what happened on that day? What did Mark and the other people involved do? How did Mark and the others feel? What were they expecting to happen? In the conclusion, what happened in the end? How did Mark feel afterwards? Did this experience change his life in any way, even in a small way? The story should be between 100 to 150 words, and you should write it in your workbook on page 15. And remember, when you are writing a story, do not change the prompt sentence. Don't change this. Use it as it is. Use past tenses. Use direct speech to make a situation seem real between quotation marks. Use questions or exclamations. Use exclamation to make the story more exciting. Use linking words, phrases to indicate the sequence of events. which event happened first and which event happened next. Chronological order. Chronological order means the same thing as sequence of events. Which things happened first? Use expressions and phrases like "it was too good to be true." This expression means what happened was very good that I can't believe that it happened. It was too good to be true. Unfortunately or fortunately, I couldn't believe my eyes. I was in or out of luck. All of a sudden, suddenly, it was a real shock. To my surprise, the next thing I knew. Now, in the introduction, now we are on page 15 in the workbook. How should we begin the story? By using this exact sentence. It was a day Mark would never forget. Where was Mark? In our story, he was in Australia, walking by a river. What time was it? It was a sunny afternoon. That was the weather. Sunny. Was anyone with Mark? I was with Mark. What was Mark's relationship to the others? We were friends. What happened on that day? Well, Mark stood on a crocodile's tail. What did Mark and the other people involved do? Well, the croc started snapping at Mark's legs. This means the crocodile was trying to bite, to eat Mark's legs, but that didn't happen, and Mark started running away. How did Mark feel? Well, I was scared for Mark, but Mark wasn't scared for himself. I thought that the crocodile, was going to eat my friend. What happened in the end? Well, in the end, the crocodile got bored and went back to the river. How did Mark feel? He wanted to know if I took pictures of him running away from the crocodile. Did the experience change his life in any way? No, that didn't happen. Now here is my short story. I wanted to write 150 words or a little less, but I couldn't. I didn't even include all the ideas here. Some ideas here are not included because actually, if I included them, this would have gone, higher than 160 words. Read with me. It was a day Mark would never forget. I used the exact sentence I was supposed to use. Last year, I went to Australia with Mark. It was a sunny afternoon, and we had the silly idea of walking in the bush, between trees. I was looking for a good place to take a photo, while Mark was walking by a river. This is a river. At some point, he stood on a log. This is a log. Well, he thought it was a log, but it wasn't. Do you know what it was? It turned out to be a crocodile's tail. He was actually standing on a crocodile's tail, not a log. The crocodile span round and snapped its jaws at Mark, trying to eat Mark, trying to bite Mark, and luckily missed his leg, so he didn't actually took a bite out of Mark's legs. I don't know how, but Mark managed to find the courage. He was brave to run. Now, I've always thought crocodiles were slow, but I was wrong. Well, I was wrong. That crocodile was very fast, with the croc snapping at Mark's ankles, trying to eat Mark's ankles. Mark climbed a nearby tree. After a while, the crocodile got bored and went back to the river. As soon as I returned to Mark, he told me about what had happened, and then he asked, "Did you get a photo of it?" I didn't expect him to ask this question. I thought that he was gonna say something else, but all he cared about was if I took a picture of him running away from the crocodile. Thank you for watching this video. If you like it, please share it with friends. I will catch you in the next one, inshallah. Goodbye.